Viewers, drop your location and your local time in the comments because the sun isn't even up in Moraine County, California, and already someone's about to learn the difference between owning land and owning the whole story. It's one of those mornings where the fog doesn't just hang, it clings, wrapping the vines like a sleepy ghost that refuses to let go. Jack Harper, 54, stands at the edge of his Merlot Rose mug of coffee steaming against the chill. His hands are rough-stained, faintly purple from yesterday's pruning, but the work's never bothered him. The sign at the gate, Harper Vineyard Est. 1955 is worn crooked and as stubborn as he is. 10 tons of grapes rest in neat crates, each one carrying his father's lessons: protect this land no matter what. Sophie, 22 and razor sharp, is on the porch with her phone ready to film her morning TikTok. She's got that grin, the one that says she's cooking up mischief, but even she doesn't see the convoy until the low growl of engines cuts through the mist. A black Range Rover crunches up the gravel, followed by 2 white pickups emblazoned with Silver Oaks HOA security. Out steps Cynthia Reynolds' designer heels, Wall Street blazer, and sunglasses polished enough to signal the space station. Historians still argue whether HOA presidents are born with that particular brand of smug or develop it after their first cease and desist letter. Either way, she's perfected it. Mr. Harper. She starts, voice dripping with pre-packaged authority. Your grapes violate community agricultural standards. We're confiscating them for inspection. She waves a thick packet stamped with HOA logos. To anyone else, it might look official. To Jack, it's paper pretending to be law. I'd like to see a court order for that, he says evenly. Her smile widens. No court order needed. Emergency powers. 10 other farms already handled, smooth as silk. Her men, Vince and Derek, start hauling crates into their truck. One slips grapes bursting across the path, juice soaking Cynthia's $800 heels. She shrieks but keeps snapping selfies for her socials, captioned no doubt about cleaning up the neighborhood. Jack's phone buzzes. He types 3 words. They're here. Ready. The reply is instant, locked and loaded. The crinkle of a certain folded paper in his pocket feels heavier now. Let her play her hand, he thinks. 10 minutes for them to believe they've won. Then he steps toward a steel gate barely visible in the thinning fog. The key turns slow, deliberate. Metal groans. A 20-foot sign emerges bold as judgment: Marin Federal Agricultural Reserve, USDA authorized. Below, warnings about federal penalties in black and gold lettering. Cynthia's face drains to the color of skim milk. This can't be real. Jack doesn't flinch. Real enough that every crate you just loaded is now evidence in a federal investigation, he says, voice steady like he's reciting the weather. Vince drops his clipboard with a clatter that echoes in the still morning. Derek takes 2 cautious steps back, eyes darting between the sign and the trucks like he's wondering if the grape juice on his boots counts as a felony. Sophie, phone up and streaming, changes her title to HOA just went federal, and the comments flood in faster than a wine pour at a wedding. From behind the facility gate, Mike Torres walks out. Crisp shirt, leather briefcase, and the slow stride of a man who's been waiting for this day. Cynthia, he says, voice smooth but sharp, remember me. Her sunglasses slip a fraction. Yep. Ex-logistics manager at Crestwood Wines. You fired me for asking too many questions. Turns out you should have asked a few yourself. He pops open the briefcase, pulling out a stack of printed emails and contracts thick enough to double as a doorstop. The top page in bold font reads, Subject Harper Vineyard Acquisition. Mike reads aloud for the live stream and the HOA security cam. Once we clear Harper's land, we can flip it for condos. $2 million in profit. Crestwood CEO approves. Gasps ripple through the small crowd of neighbors who've wandered over in bathrobes and coffee slippers. Historians still argue whether mob justice was ever civilized, but you can see the theory playing out in the glares forming around Cynthia. She grabs her phone, frantically calling her lawyer, but no one's picking up. Vince mutters to Derek, "Man, we didn't sign up for this." And Derek just shakes his head like he's rethinking all his life choices since 2012. The fog burns away under the mid-morning sun, and with it any last shred of Cynthia's composure. Sophie's stream count ticks into the thousands. YouTube, TikTok, even a couple of local news outlets start watching live. Then the real sirens wail. Not the local sheriff's tired cruiser, but a black SUV with FBI plates. Agent Laura Bennett steps out, all business and steel. Cynthia Reynolds, you are under arrest for wire fraud, agricultural manipulation, and violation of interstate commerce laws. Her tone leaves no room for negotiation. Sheriff Dan Carter slaps cuffs on Vince and Derek while they babble about just following orders. Jack lets the moment settle. He's been feeding the Bureau every ordinance, every shady Crestwood email for months. This right here is the card falling from the top of Cynthia's wobbly house. The crowd swells as word spreads. Pickup trucks pull in. Not with HOA security logos, but with familiar faces. Leah Gomez, Tom Bradley, Old Man Carter, each carrying their own stories of Cynthia's scams. Leah's voice trembles as she tells the cameras. She took our orchard. Said we broke codes that didn't even exist. We sold for nothing because we were scared. Jack walks to his truck, unrolls a massive map across the hood of Agent Bennett's SUV. It's a county ownership chart color-coded like a game board, revealing that Harper Vineyard is just the beginning. I don't just own my vineyard, he says. I own 80% of the agricultural land in a 10-mile radius. Gasps and a few low whistles break the quiet. Sophie, still live, can barely keep her voice steady. Guys, my dad owns this whole valley. Leah's eyes well up. You were the one who bought our orchard when Cynthia bankrupted us. You kept us on as managers. Jack nods. Didn't just buy it, saved it. Every farm she tried to steal, I bought at fair value and left the families running them. This valley isn't hers, it's ours. Mike delivers one last blow. Crestwood's been using HOAs across California to strip farmland cheap. Cynthia was promised $400,000 for every property she remediated. Now live for the world to see her empire collapses. 2 weeks later, the Moraine County Courthouse smells faintly of polished oak and judgment. Judge Ellen Parker lays it down 20 months in federal prison, $2.8 million restitution, lifetime ban from HOA leadership. Crestwood goes bankrupt. Jack buys their processing plant for pennies, turns it into a farmers' co-op. The Marin Farmers Coalition launches 50 farms strong. Leia's heirloom apples fetch premium prices. Tom's replanting his vines, and Carter's orchard now draws tourists year-round. Sophie's live stream becomes a case study in journalism classes, but she uses it to advocate for small farmers. One evening, father and daughter walk the rows. The sun drops low, turning the valley gold. They stop at the old Harper Vineyard sign. Sophie snaps a photo just for them, not the internet. This is it, Dad, she says softly. The moment we got it all back. Jack lays a cluster of Merlot on his father's hilltop grave. We didn't just save our land, Dad, he whispers. We saved everyone's. The wind down comes like the last sip of a good vintage slow warm and leaving more behind than it takes. Jack's boots press into soil that's more than dirt. It's decades of care, stubbornness, and community stitched together by shared hands. The valley hums with quiet industry, distant laughter from Carter's orchard, the low rumble of Tom's tractor. Sophie's voice drifting through the rows as she talks to someone about next year's harvest festival. There's no HOA letter in his mailbox, no strangers claiming rights over his vines, just the knowledge that when greed tried to break this place, it only bound the people tighter. The moon rises silver over the hills, catching the last glow on the grapes, and Jack lets the cool air settle in his lungs. Out here, victories aren't marked by fanfare. They're measured in seasons, in the weight of a good harvest, in the way the valley still belongs to those who work it. And if someone comes for it again, well, the quiet guy with the map is still here, still ready.